Is it a surprise at all that I'm in the Star Wars room yet again?
You live here now, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I think so. I could have a key or whatever you guys use, whatever the codes are, just let me know. You see the guests today, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start over here.
I'm Matt, one of the owners of the Lost Toys.
And I'm Rachel, also one of the owners of the Lost Toys.
And I'm Vegabomber, the guy that's on this side of the camera, though usually I'm on that side of the camera, and not a member of the Lost Toys, although I'm lost, and some people have called me a toy before. That's another story. We're going to talk about what is, I don't know, supposedly, some people say supposedly, but I'm going to say greatest movie in cinematography history, and then also
I think that could be argued.
Story ever told, possibly.
Wow.
Academy Award winning on many levels. The music changed the way we see things.
Yeah.
The practical effects at that time, which do not deserve to be compared to any of the prequels, because that's not even a fair thing. But even for what they had, practical sets. The movie before that was the #1 movie in 1976 was Rocky. Did we get a Rocky here with A New Hope, which is what we're talking about?
No, we got something very different. I mean, completely took everyone off guard. People, all these studios passed on Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like they saw the script and went, "Nah, we're good." So George Lucas had to go find, 20th Century Fox, I guess. I don't know. I can't remember that whole story, but I remember that there's like people passing on it based on the script and stuff.
That's right.
So,
and remember, Godfather was taken over at the time too in the theaters.
Right.
So here's this movie, not about sharks, not about Godfathers. Alien came out in '78, and before it was Rocky. And now we've got this story about Luke Skywalker, plucky Princess Leia, right? A lot of girls were really, really interested in
Got
that,
some
right?
good girl power going on.
she's the first tough female, I think, in movies, because, like, I think Princess Leia takes you to Ripley.
Correct,
Who,
yeah.
I think Star Wars is the year before Alien, so
Yes, it is.
Ripley is really like the toughest, but Princess Leia is really kind of laying that groundwork for girls. No more, damsels in distress kind of thing.
That's exactly right.
She's
I mean,
tough.
Rachel, what
and
did you think?
Oh, well, she's tough. She's strong. I liked how they had her dressed modestly because she was definitely no set dressing, even though she's a beautiful woman. I mean, she was inspiring, and I remember seeing it when I was a really little girl, and that really inspired me. I mean, every little girl wants to be a princess, but that's the princess I wanted to be. And, I wanted to be a princess who could grab a blaster and, tell the men what to do. And that brings us here.
Yeah, I know. You definitely are.
Not much has changed since then. It wasn't really the last one to survive an alien, so she was telling aliens what to do, right? So that's excellent idea too, because I know as a kid we were grabbing sticks, pretending like they were lightsabers,
I did the noises,
right? And then the girls could always play too, because they'd be Princess Leia all the time. We weren't worried about Han Solo, whether he was white or black or whatever. We just said, hey, anybody could be Han Solo that thought they were a pirate. Right?
I can't remember a movie before Star Wars that girls thought, oh, I want to be. I mean, do you?
No, not that I know of. I mean, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I've never.
I can't think of a movie before Star Wars where girls. That was a really good role model for girls. Like, she was just as tough as the boys, if not tougher.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
And extremely smart. I mean, so as this leads us right into the movie. So what do we see? We see a Darth Vader figure come in, out of the smog of all the stuff that's been blown up and shut up as they kind of come into the set. And then what do you see? You see Princess Leia doing the iconic thing. She knows my ship has been compromised. So here, let's get these things out with the droids and send the droids out. I mean, she's thinking, she's smart. She's already on top of it before we even see Luke. Right? All we see are bad guys first, but we see a strong princess right there going, okay, compromise is what we do.
Well, Vader gets up in her face, and she's just like right back in his face.
Yeah.
This big, scary. I don't know how tall is David Prowse, like 6'7", like
he's a big guy.
Huge guy.
She comes up
this
to
scary
here on him
thing, and she's right back in his face.
Yeah, I mean, he could force choke her, and she's just like giving him mouth. Yeah.
Now I don't know why he didn't know that was his daughter, since he has the Force, but that's
let's not discuss that right now.
We're having a great moment as we go back and look at A New Hope, which by then it was A New Hope to us, but really it was Star Wars before we started labeling them 1, 2, 3, and 4 and all of that stuff. So what about 3PO, R2-D2? They get to carry the next part of the story, right? Because we still haven't met our protagonist yet. We still haven't met Luke yet. We meet the princess first, then the droids. Then we get a hold of Luke.
Yeah, Luke is. I'm trying to think the very first time. I guess it's when they're buying the droids. Is that right?
Yes.
So, yeah, he's definitely starts off very whiny, very babyish, very I don't know.
He starts off as a child. I mean,
yeah,
I know
he is.
he's wanting to leave home for the first time. So I mean, they're a little whiny at that.
And he
age.
wants to go get some power converters.
Yeah, at the
Itachi
Tachi
Station.
Yeah, which were scenes that were cut out of the movie.
Do you know, those scenes aren't bad because you actually get to meet of all of them. Because I watched all the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
And that's the best one because you really get to because Biggs is in it, right? You know Biggs.
Mm-hmm.
So Biggs is in it, and they have like a moment, and he's like telling him about he's joined the rebels and all this. Like it's I don't know why they cut that. I guess maybe for time or I don't know. But
see, and this
part was
is
good.
you're right, and that's just that part. We haven't even talked about Han Solo yet. We haven't talked about Ben Kenobi yet. I mean,
You don't
look
meet
how
Han
much.
until like halfway into the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what about Han Solo? Harrison Ford is what everybody wants to see in these panels now at the Force Awakens to speak. And then you see him for the first time, and he's Rye, and then. Did he or did he not shoot first? Come on.
Everybody knows.
Of course he shot. That completely
Does
changes
not go.
the characters when you see
Yeah,
it in there.
exactly.
Right? But I mean, he wasn't like I don't know. Maybe he was the first anti-hero. I don't know who it would have been before him again. I wasn't born yet, so I can't for sure be certain if there was another character before that. But after him, well, he kind of played that role. Even in Indiana Jones and Blade Runner. But he was like not a nice guy. Like he was mean, and he was mean to the girls, and he was cocky, and at the end when he comes to save Luke, I don't think you didn't know he was going to come back.
It was a real surprise, and that goes to show everyone really evolves through the series of these films. I mean, Luke starts out a whiny brat and becomes a Jedi Knight, and Han starts out kind of a selfish.
Leia though, pretty
she's strong
level
all the way
across
through.
the
Yes,
board.
All the way
she
through.
is.
Yeah,
She
I mean,
is.
we kind of, without much exposition on her, we know why she's a princess because she's definitely smart. She can get in front of people, command people, and people will listen. So we get that on her, and so here we got this young boy, and then we still haven't talked about yet Ben Kenobi, who steps in. Sir Alex Guinness.
Oh my gosh, he is so good in this movie, and he hated it. If you go back and read his book and his journals, he hated being a Star Wars. He called it that space movie and stuff, and it's a shame because he's so good. I mean, he really brought him and Peter Cushing. I think those are the guys that really brought.
Yes.
They were like. When you put Marlon Brando in Superman, like they really brought that that seriousness to the movie, that respect.
Peter Cushing, Grand Moff Tarkin,
yeah,
the guy who had Vader's leash.
He was a bad dude too, right? Like there was never he legitimately controlled Vader, and but man, Al Guinness was so good. So like the first moment when you go and they're at the hut or whatever, he's so good. We were doing that in one of our videos. I like the part where he's like, he was a good pilot and a good friend. I like that part.
Yes.
He doesn't remember owning droids, which is odd.
Yeah, I know, because you spent 3 movies with him.
It's like, come on.
Yeah, and there's some things. There's a lot of things.
Especially R2-D2, he should remember.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, and Anakin builds C-3PO.
Anyway.
Some strange things about all of that. But
take that and throw that out way off.
We'll forget about that for right now.
Yeah, and and for the first time in a movie, especially in a sci-fi opera here, when you see Luke standing outside and the
That's my favorite.
Oh, that iconic
you get
shot.
that sense of yearning. I mean, this movie actually has a lot of quotable lines in it. I dare you to find a quotable line in the prequels where you're not making fun of the prequels. Yeah. But you can name, I don't know how many quotable lines from Star Wars people still say that became part of the vernacular, right?
It really
did.
did.
The Force be with you. People were
absolutely.
saying it. Luke, I'm your father. People say that. It's been in so many commercials. So here's Luke just standing there, just no words here, right? Unfortunately, some parts of the prequel we had to tell you what we were feeling. But here, no words. It's just Luke looking off, and you could feel the yearning in the music.
The music, that swell in the music gives you chills. Yeah, I know.
And again, I think that's the first time that a soundtrack really, other than in like a musical or something, like not certainly not like Wizard of Oz, but that's the first time when a soundtrack really came in and like added to the movie like that. That scene that you're talking about. If you were going to ask us at the end our favorite scene, that's what I was going to tell you. Is the Tatooine scene of Luke looking on the double suns, right when the crescendo hits of the John Williams score. That is that movie. And it's beautiful. It really is. Yeah.
And that does bring up how many artful shots are in that movie. I mean,
So
even
many,
the
right?
establishing scene with, you know, the ship going overhead. I mean, there are just so many. And the sounds. I remember as a little girl, I loved the way their heels clicked on the floor of the ship.
It was like they were tap dancers.
Yes,
right?
I loved the sounds and the sounds of the Dianagos swimming around in the trash. You know, I mean, just all those different sounds that just kind of brings it
I like
right
the
back.
laser sound, the
Yes,
lightsaber.
Yes.
absolutely. Well, everyone loves the lightsaber sound, right?
Oh my goodness.
Most
Oh my
imitated
goodness.
sound effect ever. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, before kids would just play cowboys and Indians, and you'd be like acting like you were shooting somebody.
Yeah.
Star Wars come out, and everybody starts going pew 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 pew, and it doesn't seem silly.
No,
No, not at all.
You're
like, no, pew to
way
you,
play.
buddy.
That's right.
Yeah.
I shot first.
Yeah.
Yes. And the funny thing is Lucas was struggling at that time because some of the props for the folks that were in the Creature Cantina weren't as I guess fantastical as he wanted them to be.
Well, if you go back
Yet
and
he made it
look,
work.
you'll see
It took work,
IG-88's head is hanging in Mos Eisley.
Uh-huh.
His IG-88 is in it like 3 different times in that trilogy. There's a guy wearing Bosk's costume, just a regular dude wearing Bosk's costume in Mos
I
Eisley.
didn't know that. That's
So there's a lot. They were really
That's cool.
pushing the limits of what they could do with
And
creature effects.
Stretching out their budget too. It sounds like, but look
Yes.
at what they.
But I think it
accomplished.
looks way better. Like I think the Mos Eisley, some of that looks better than some of the digital stuff in Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
I
yes.
agree with you on that. Absolutely, I'd much rather see the practical effects.
And see, and this is crazy, right? Because we're going through this movie and we haven't even gotten to the plot yet.
Oh my gosh.
We're still
You're
talking
right.
about character development, which means that you had to have it in the film in order for us to talk like this. And
Absolutely.
I've seen the old challenge of try to describe some of the people from the prequels and who they were without mentioning their title. I think Red Letter Media talks about that, and it's tough. But when you talk about the original trilogy, folks, it's not hard to describe Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke, Ben Kenobi, and even Chewbacca, who was there. But how about this? We still don't even have this. We haven't talked about the story yet at all. We just hear these characters, and somehow they're just going to blend, meet, mix, and then there goes the show. So we get the point where the stormtroopers come down because Vader tells them to come down, and then they blow up those Jawas, try to make it look like it was Tusken Raiders.
Yep.
It's genius. And then, of
Yes,
course,
yes.
that's the excuse to get Luke off that rock of a planet that has a lot of sand, which is coarse, you know, and
Yeah,
gets
it
everywhere.
gets up
It's everywhere.
So, now we get this thing where, well, there's no point in staying here. So where might we go? Onto a Millennium Falcon, and is that the most iconic ship ever? What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
I think that definitely you have to be fair and throw the Enterprise in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's fair.
I mean,
But-
for the Enterprise has been in so many movies and TV shows. Isn't there like 10 Star Trek shows that they've made or something?
They've made a lot of
So
them.
they've definitely got a lot more use out of theirs, whereas the Millennium Falcon's only been in 3. So, but I think they're right. You know, oh gosh, they're
Speaking
right
of
up there.
ships.
Yeah, here's an iconic ship.
Right here.
Right? I mean, they're definitely neck and neck, right? Like, I can't think of another space. Yeah, definitely. Can you? I mean,
No.
Yeah.
not even close.
See, and then when you bring up... Now, here's another genius thing right here. When you bring up the Millennium Falcon, most people think of the Enterprise as being fast, quick, and whatever. But this was the first movie that actually used it as a joke. Remember how many times you tried to go into light speed and it
And
didn't
it
work?
didn't work.
And everybody kept saying, "What? This is a bucket of junk." Remember that's what Luke said?
So
That's
make
what
the
the
Kessel
said?
run
Yeah.
in less than 12 parsecs.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I mean, we all know that's
See, and so here's this. Now they find a way to put humor in it.
so much humor.
Star Wars is a
Makes
funny
it-
movie.
Oh, it's really funny. Absolutely.
It's a funny movie when they finally get to Leia and he's like, "I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you." She's like, "Are you a little short to be a surgical?" That part always as I get older, the more I look at that part and I think so differently. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like,
says so
wow,
much.
Yeah.
what a character, man, that you would say that. Like you've just been
Yeah.
sitting there waiting,
Yeah.
being tortured,
Yes.
and finally someone comes in and that's the first thing you say. That always makes me laugh.
Yes, and see, and I love the verbal jousting between
Leia
Han
and
Solo,
Han,
Han Solo, and everybody pretty much. Han Solo and Leia, Han Solo and Luke. Remember, because at first Luke's like, "Oh, I can fly that plane myself," and then they get into
I'm not
it.
a bad pilot myself.
Yes, and I'd love because that's what you would see some dudes
Absolutely.
doing, right? Here it is.
Absolutely.
Here it's time to
Get up in each
measure,
other's face.
right?
Yep.
It's time to measure ourselves against each
Right.
other. And then there's Ben Kenobi just being wise and sitting there the whole time, just taking it in. And then I love it because once they get on the ship and then they're doing the training, which now has to show up everywhere. Evidently, training always has to be visor shield down, remote, and people doing this. Just because of that one scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you train younglings, because somehow we're just going to get them all helmets with the visor
To cover
down.
their face,
And then
exactly.
That's how we're going to...
It's kind of cruel. Watch him getting shot by that thing. They're kind of like laughing at him while it's happening. They're like,
Builds character.
yeah.
So you add, that's exactly right. And so you add humor, and then look what you do. You then turn around and talk about science and belief, spirituality, because Ben Kenobi, Han Solo. All those old hokey kids. There's nothing. I've flown all over the universe, kids, and I've never seen one thing that can convince me that controls everything. And then Luke just stops training, and then it goes from a training montage all of a sudden talking about philosophy and life and all this other stuff. So, again, space movie, space cowboy, droids, humor, and now
And
philosophy.
depth. Yeah, real depth. It's pretty remarkable.
And by the way, we gotta go save the princess, which ends up being the plot then. Once they get onto this big Death Star, which they didn't realize was one at first, they were like, that's a moon? No, that's not a moon. And then,
Well, it was pretty genius how they managed to. Because if you think about like what happens, if you really get Han Solo's character, you're like, why would he help Luke? He would just be like, you figure it out. But they have a ship. That's all he's got. So he has to help Luke. So you really, it really takes you about how everything that happens kind of changes him as a character. Because Han Solo at the beginning of that movie does not come back at the end to help Luke. But Han Solo, after having gone through what happens in the movie, he's changed and he comes back. And very different universe, very different galaxy if he doesn't come back and
Oh wow, yeah, totally
blast
different.
away at Darth Vader at the end.
Probably the last one. If he didn't come back.
Yeah.
that's right. And so, at this point, I'm just wondering from the female perspective, on Princess Leia now, yeah, she has the buns on her head, but everybody still did that for Halloween because it was fun.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
got to be
I
the most
did,
iconic
yeah.
hairstyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
More
My
than
mom
Marcy.
did my hair that way when I was a little girl.
I believe you.
And then, didn't you like how when they were on the Death Star, Luke gets there, they're running, and then he gives her the gun so that he could get the grappling hook out that he's going to shoot so they could get over there, and she takes out a couple of stormtroopers.
Better
Or
than
something,
She shoots
wasn't
better
it?
than
Yeah.
stormtroopers.
Better than he did, yeah.
Well, and I feel like, of course he does, because that's the world we would live in now, and I feel like in most movies now that would be a given that
Well,
the
it makes
woman would
sense.
already have a gun.
She's
But
probably been trained. He's just some
Exactly.
farm boy. He didn't know how to shoot a blaster.
Yeah.
But she's just like, pew, pew, y'all dead.
I think
So it
that's
makes
pretty
more sense.
significant for the time to be able to do that.
So,
though, 'cause
yeah,
she wasn't
because
a sidekick.
back then it would just be a girl being saved.
And she'd
Right.
be wearing something, skimpy.
Yeah, she would definitely be in a bikini.
There's so much more to it.
Which they do get to, by the way.
Well, yeah, they do. But
Yes, well, they had to wait for Jabba to show up, and I like how, again, we understand the motivations of Han Solo.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a price on his head. So he's not in for your little joyride unless, of course,
He
you
gets
can
money.
get him paid. He's trying to get paid, and we can relate to that. He's just trying to get paid, right? Then he gets there and finds out that, man, that banter back and forth. By the way, if you're going to do banter between two people who just met, you can't talk about sand and coarseness and all that other stuff. Watch Han Solo. Hayden Christensen should have just watched Han Solo. That's it. Just whatever Lucas said to do, forget Lucas. Just tell Lucas just like what Han did. That's what Harrison Ford did. He goes, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I know. It wasn't that one of the most player lines ever. I know that's Empire Strikes Back, but
I know. Well, and Empire Strikes Back is definitely a fan favorite, I think, because it has such constant action and all those one-liners. But none of that would be possible without the setup that A New Hope gave us. I mean, it gave us the foundation for what came after that, and we're lucky to have that.
I mean, even this is interesting to me too. When Han and Luke are just sitting in the I guess the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and she comes in, says something. I forget what Leia says, and then she leaves. And he goes, "So what do you think? Do you think I'd have to go like her? We get this country like me?" And Luke's like, "No, not at all. No, not at all." He just shoots it down.
Yeah.
And then he starts to say, "But she is kind of," and then all of a sudden Han starts going, "Well, she might be that, but she's also that." I just love just that banner, two guys sitting in a ship, doing some
cute
incredible
girl.
things, and they're talking about a cute girl, and then of course it ends up being Luke's sister. But So then at this moment, and again, we're just talking through the movie. Now you have to see the power of this Death Station, of course, again, and then we see Grandma talking. And some of the decisions are kind of bad, but Darth Vader saying, nope, Ben Kenobi's here. I can sense him. I can feel him. We start to learn how strong and how powerful the Force is before Yoda tells us in
Right.
Empire, right?
Yeah, we don't
He
need
says, no, he's here. And just the idea that he's going out to meet his destiny, and then Ben Kenobi just says, as a wise man, I'll take care of those tractors. Those tractor beams, so you guys can get away. I'll take care of that. And
He knew he was
He
never.
knew. He sacrificed
He knew he was
himself.
never getting off that Death Star.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex Guinness wanted to be out of the first one, which he got a chance to do.
Yeah.
And then Han Solo wanted to be out after the second one, but we put him in Carbonite,
He's kind
So
of
there's
Alec Guinness is kind of in the other ones, but he's a ghost. But
Yeah.
he was just like so. I guess kind of done. But I don't know. It's so anticlimactic. The written like script for when Vader meets Obi-Wan is so bad. It's like so cheesy, and it's good. Like they still try, and it's not.
The learner.
They did their
master
best, but like if you were just reading what they say on a script, you'd be like, if you're an actor, you're like, what?
You want me to say what?
I'm supposed to say that? Like how?
thing. When we first met, I was the learner, you were the master, and now.
Now I am the master. Only master. Evil dog. Pew pew.
Right, see,
really
that
bad.
sound is still there. Pew, that works.
Pew,
It
pew.
works. So before that was Pepe Le Pew, and that was a completely different context.
Totally.
But now
It's
Pew to us means
Pew has
this.
evolved. Thanks.
So
to
you take the yes, thank you for that, Rachel, because that's true. Pew had to go somewhere, right? So Pepe Le Pew just wasn't. I'm glad he wasn't in the film at all.
No, that.
Or any editor or anything like that. So
Maybe
now,
Lucas will add him later.
yeah. So I think that now what you do is you have just the last part of the film, and that's what everybody remembers. Everybody's getting in their planes and taking their R2 units, and they're ready to go out there and fight and try to get into that cavern so they can blow up the Death Star. Han shows you that he's still Han, doesn't want to be a part of it, he says. But then he does say, hey man, the Force be with you. And there's that arc that you're talking about. He went from whatever, hokey religions, and then now it's like, well, may the Force be with you.
I at least respect your viewpoint. That's kind of what he's saying there.
And then they get in the ship, and then we all know how it ends. But that ending, how was it for you, Rachel? When you just saw, when you knew that, when you figured out it was Han that shot that shot.
Oh my gosh, that's mind blowing, and it's a very happy surprise, I think, because you definitely don't expect that. You don't know either way how it's gonna go.
Yeah, Vader was just so like we kind of glossed over it in this, but he was such a terrifying villain. And like I think now if you watch Rebels, they really have kind of recaptured
That's a good point.
terrifying how scary Darth Vader was. So then like you're on the ground, he's got a big red laser sword, he's gonna cut you in half with it. So you're in space. Guess what? He's a pilot. He's got the scariest ship, and he's probably going to shoot you down.
Yes.
So it's like, he was terrifying, man. Like, you
really good
cannot
point.
get away from this guy.
Yeah.
That's
So when
absolutely
you
true.
see he's got Luke, in his sights, you're like, that's it, and then when Han comes out of nowhere, you're like, oh. I can remember being a kid and really loving that part. Because you're like, you want to believe, as people, we want to believe in the inherent goodness of others and stuff. So you're
great
just
point.
like, man, he did. He's not such a bad guy.
And we all
So that
enjoy
was-
seeing a scary villain like reduced to.
Whoa! Hey there, error!
Who doesn't love that? He's always really taken down a peg there.
He had it thrown up in his helmet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and rebreathed it in.
I'm rebreathing it.
And then John L. Williams made sure he didn't quit after just doing that great theme over Tatooine. He gives us that great ending at the end where they get their medals, except for Chewie.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Chewie doesn't get a medal, but he does get the last word in Star Wars when he does that growl at the very end. But that was it. So, guys, you got to know by now, we can talk about this for hours. So I'm going to ask these guys just what was their favorite scene, which is going to be tough because it's like telling people, hey, pick your favorite kid out of all your kids. But your favorite scene from New Hope.
It truly is, not because you mentioned it. That scene where he's looking onto the double suns and the music hits and they play it like, oh man, that scene is so good. I really like that. And then before they changed it, I always like when he blasted Greedo. I'm like, ooh, he's tough.
Like, yes.
Like, because he just straight up kills Greedo.
I mean, he murders him.
Like, he just kills that guy, Like, that was kind of like, whoa. Like, is this guy a good guy or what? Like, he was an anti-hero because he just murders Greedo.
Yeah.
He's like, guess what? You're dead. Goodbye. Come again next time. So I really like that scene. I really hate that they changed that. I know everybody hates it, and it's like a cool thing to hate, but I really do hate that.
Yeah.
But I love the scene with the double. So I mean, that to me,
that's a great
that is Star Wars.
Yeah. No, I love it. Rachel, how about you? I know it's a tough one.
That is a really tough one. I think, especially from the time I was a kid, I think the trash compactor scene was always my favorite.
Why do you like that?
Because I know, because we've talked about it before when we had the play set in. Because it's funny and scary at the same time. I mean, I remember being young, I was legitimately afraid they were going to get crushed. That seemed like an awful way to die. And yet they're making jokes like, we're all going to be a lot thinner.
Yeah. They're
dying. Yeah, and then C-3PO thinking they're dying. I mean, it's like funny and terrifying at the same time. So, and plus it was really gross.
They were going to get squished.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know why that one really stuck with me.
I would say my favorite scene, and again, this is really tough, so I'm going to probably say it's that moment when Luke realizes, when he sees his aunt and uncle destroyed, and he goes back, and then Ben Kenobi just says, hey, you couldn't have done nothing if you were there anyway, and you'd be dead with them too. And then you see him pause, and he thinks about it, and then when he looks up, it's a resolution on his face, and I want to be a Jedi fighter pilot just like my father before me. Because remember when he first mentioned it when they went into Ben's house, he was like, I can't do this. I've got to get back to the farm. He said, that's your uncle talking. So here's the uncle's gone. There's no reason for him to stay on this rock called Tatooine anymore. And it was just the way. And people knock, Mark Hamill for his acting. But that scene right there was really good because he looks down.
Mark Hamill for his acting?
Yeah.
Wow.
They say, well, he was never in anything else.
Shame on them. He's the Joker. Shame on them.
Right. But a lot of people have
shame on you people.
Yeah,
you people, shame on you.
Bad acting is called Hayden Christensen.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's bad acting.
There's no wooden actors in Hope. I mean, everybody is very expressive, and you're right, that's a beautiful scene.
The bartender that says no droids in here is better than Hayden Christensen.
That's true. And that other droid.
I've got the death sentence on 12 systems is better than Hayden Christensen. The walrus guy that gets his arm cut off that doesn't even have lines is better than Hayden Christensen. Shame on you people.
That's right, shame.
Mark Hamill is a saint.
That's right. Don't talk bad about Mark Hamill.
The Joker.
That's right.
/ Luke Skywalker / the Trickster.
That's right, because in the world of the Jokers, right after Heath Ledger, people. I'm just saying.
I agree.
Well, guys, we have much more things to do to get ready for, I guess, episode 5 next, which is Empire Strikes Back. And that's a lot of pressure because that's such a great movie. So that means we've got to be really up to par when we talk about that. Then we're going to talk about Return of the Jedi. And then after that, we're going to go radio silence for a while. And the next time you see us after that, we'll be talking about The Force Awakens. But that's Matt. He's Matt. She's Rachel. I'm the Vegabomber. And we are now out of here.